Is Brian Jones, senior advisor to the McCain campaign. Brian, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Want to get you to elaborate a little bit more on something that Steve Schmidt actually said in the New York Times. So I want to read it for you and for our viewers. Quote, "The scenario for winning for us is a narrow victory scenario," Steve says. "The fact that we're in this race at all within striking distance, within a 5% right track is a miracle because the environment is so bad and the headwind is so strong." Brian, it's been a tough environment from the very beginning, but it now looks like the McCain is really fighting from a defensive position as you guys sort of defend some of the red states. Is it worse than you thought?
No, look, I mean, Steve's exactly right. And you know, this isn't the Flat Earth campaign. I mean, we're completely aware of where we are right now in this race. The bottom line, though, is John McCain is in Florida today. A poll came out today that showed us a couple points up in Florida. When you talk about Virginia, that's a state the last two gubernatorial elections have gone Democratic. Jim Webb won, Democrat in the Senate race. The difference, though, I would say in Virginia, it's important to note, is these are centrists. Barack Obama is not a centrist, and I think it'll be tough for him to close the deal in Virginia.
Brian, we couldn't have a show without bringing up Joe the Plumber. And John McCain brought up Joe the Plumber out on the campaign trail today, so let's play that.
The response from Senator Obama and his campaign yesterday was to attack Joe. People are digging through his personal life, and he has TV crews camped out in front of his house.
Brian, what's up with John McCain blaming Barack Obama for the attention that Joe the Plumber is getting? Wasn't it John McCain who mentioned Joe the Plumber 20 times in the debate?
Yeah, I think with Joe the Plumber, something is getting lost here. It's not just about Joe the Plumber, who's from Toledo, Ohio. Joe the Plumber is emblematic of a lot of working-class Americans who are trying to raise a family, maybe start a small business. And there's a distinction between the candidates. Barack Obama, under his tax plan, the marginal tax rate would go up and hurt small businesses. About 56% of small businesses would pay higher taxes. And these are the businesses that are creating jobs in this down economy. So it's about a contrast. It's about a difference of ideas in this election.
Let me read, because Joe the Plumber may be emblematic of this campaign and of how John McCain has run his campaign. Let me read from Politico, which writes today, quote, "John McCain hung his final presidential debate performance on an Ohio plumber who the campaign aides never vetted. A day after Joseph Wurzelbacher, famous, referencing him in the debate almost 2 times as someone who would pay higher taxes under Barack Obama, McCain learned the fine print Thursday on the plumber's not-so-tidy personal story. He's not a licensed plumber. And it turns out that Wurzelbacher makes less than $250,000 a year, which means he would receive a tax cut if Obama were elected president." Brian, do you acknowledge that if, in fact, Joe the Plumber makes what the average plumber in Ohio makes, that he would actually fare better under Obama's tax plan than under McCain's tax plan?
Well, it's you know, look, it's hard to say how he would specifically fare. I mean, the tax issue is not always as cut and dry as it may seem. If his employer winds up paying higher taxes, you know, Joe might lose his job because the employer has to lay someone off. So, you know, I think it's unfortunate that Joe has been the subject of some of these attacks.
Brian, I think this is an important point because, Brian, you're someone who points out the facts to us reporters, and I do think it's important on this tax plan to point that out. Barack Obama's tax plan would tax profits over $250,000 a year. It may be that Joe the Plumber wants to own a business that grosses more than $250,000, but it doesn't net $250,000. So isn't it perhaps, are some inside your campaign concerned that you picked the wrong guy, Joe the Plumber, when it turns out he doesn't have a plumbing license, he doesn't own that business, and he doesn't make more than $250,000 a year?
Look, I know it's hard to believe, but, you know, at the tail of a campaign, politics can be spontaneous. This kind of just happened this past weekend when Barack Obama was talking to Joe the Plumber. And again, I think it's more of who Joe is emblematic of. And I think a lot of Americans can relate to the situation that he's in, particularly swing voters who are trying to decide who they're going to wind up supporting in this election. So, look, the points you make are fair ones, but at the same time, Joe is emblematic of more working-class Americans. And I think it's unfortunate, quite frankly, that Democrats have gone out and tried to smear a guy who's out there trying to work for a living.
Wait, where's the smearing, Brian, with Joe?
Do we think it was just by chance that it came out that he had a tax lien? And this issue about his license
But that wasn't Democrats. Those were actually reporters who checked out his record because no one else had apparently vetted him. Those were reporters.
Well, again, I mean, does he need to be vetted? I mean, again, this is a spontaneous moment at the end of a campaign. And again, we're simply talking about someone who basically would wind up being in a worse economic situation under Barack Obama than he would under John McCain. And again, I understand the point that you're going to go back to is, you know, is he making $250,000? Is he not? But again, it's about a difference in approach to taxes and economics. And again, the marginal tax rate for small businesses would go up under Barack Obama's plan.
If you make more than $250,000 a year, not gross, but net more than $250,000 a year. Brian Jones, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.